Okay, so this is episode 9 of the Behind Tracks Limits podcast, covering the Styrian and the Austrian Grand Prix. Are we doing a wave?
We
Cue
always
the
do
awkward wave.
So, what was everyone's opinions on the Styrian Grand Prix?
I have very good opinions because I'm a Max Verstappen fan.
It's over because Max won.
Worked out better for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was a bit heartbroken because George obviously had pneumatic pressure problems with his car, which led to it being, because he was doing so well, and then to just, I think they knew after doing 2 or 3 pit stops that it was just not worth running the car. And it was a shame.
Yeah.
And now I also have a bone to pick with Fernando Alonso, but you know, we'll get onto that race in a bit.
I know, it was so heartbreaking, especially when George was doing like such a good drive, and then
it was sad.
I'm trying to think what happened.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think, and I'm like,
I took notes on the Austrian. I have a bone to pick with Charles Leclerc.
I know George's car was something to do with the aero pressure, so they had to just retire it.
Yeah, it was pneumatic pressure for
Pneumatic
him.
pressure. Sad times.
yeah.
And yeah, as I said, Charles Leclerc taking out Pierre Gasly on the first lap. But the thing that annoys me the most about it isn't that it happened, but the fact that he wasn't penalised.
That was hard
And
to
then-
watch.
In the Austrian Grand Prix, the FIA were handing out penalties left, right and centre.
They were.
Yeah.
By the end of the race, I think the stewards called 11 of the drivers to their room to get a penalty.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I remember because Seb, who was it? Seb's crash at the end. There was a double yellow flag, so drivers were meant to slow down, but ones at the front didn't slow down, so the drivers at the back went to complain about it to the stewards, but I don't know if they did anything about that at the end.
It was just Mazepin and Latifi got 30 seconds and 3 penalty points each. Yeah.
Wow.
Do we know what Lando got his 2 penalty points for?
I think it was just for the time penalty that he just got them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because he's now on
I didn't
10
understand
out of 12.
that time penalty. That annoyed me so much.
It was so frustrating.
It was. My emotions were high that race.
But he still got a podium after getting a penalty.
Yeah,
so that
which
was
is
like
good.
even more better. Like his podium was like even better because it's like I just got a penalty, but I still got a podium.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that penalty
from Lando, so good.
Yeah. Watching it was like the longest 5 seconds of my life. I was like,
Yeah.
He's just for real.
how do they time it? Like, how do they time the 5 seconds?
I
I don't
literally
know.
So it's you either do it when you go for your pit stop and you wait 5 seconds and then you're allowed to work.
Who's
on
counting?
Yeah, I think
someone in the team will be
Yeah.
counting, and they'll get a message through the radio. Otherwise, you can always just have it added on to your race at the end.
Oh yeah, that's a bit more risky, then, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Maybe
because that's what happened
fine.
when Lando got his first podium. Was
Podium in
because
Austria.
Yeah.
Hamilton had. Well, I'd say this is definitely a better podium for him because he'd earned it by driving rather than
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Lewis had shunted someone off.
Yeah.
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 So many people that I was talking to were comparing it, Lando and Perez, to Lewis and Albon, and I was like, they didn't even make contact. So
No,
how
I
can
know.
you
I saw that
even
on that
say-
group. They were like, and I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, how? I was like,
How is this the same?
how is it the same? I was just going off, and then
yeah.
Rachel was like, no, this.
Yeah.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now.
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree.
But then, I mean, the thing for me about the Styrian and the Austrian Grand Prix is just the complete inconsistency in treatment of drivers from one race to the other. Like, I think the FIA almost like over penalised drivers so that it was seen that they were doing something after all the backlash that they got for not penalising Charles after his reckless driving. And I will call it reckless because he was very lucky that he didn't hit anyone.
Yeah.
But it was very close in some situations.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they tried to overcompensate by handing out penalties to everyone and their mother.
You're joking. Not another one? Oh, for God's sake, I can't stand this.
The thing that I don't get is Yuki Tsunoda crossing the white line at the pit entry, like,
and then doing it again.
He didn't learn.
And yeah, he did it twice.
Yeah.
He's been going into that pit entry like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Everyone's like, rookie mistakes. And I'm like, don't they learn from their mistakes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good thing that Max won the race, because I feel like Helmut Marko would have been at the AlphaTauri garage ready to ship him back off to Italy.
You've got to admit though that Valtteri's doing so much better in the past 2 races. Like,
some people say maybe
Valtteri we know though.
Yeah.
I'm right.
Like, as much as I love George, like, I do hope Valtteri gets one more year, because I feel like it's not been good to him. I feel like
he needs to have a good last year.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that at the moment he's not in the top 3 in the championship. He was down in 6th at one point, and Sergio was in 3rd up until this race, I think, because I think Lando's overtaken him again. But yeah, on the topic of the McLarens, we saw a resurgent Daniel in the Austrian Grand Prix, which I was very happy about.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good birthday thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I think Daniel's coming into his own.
Yeah. I think just having a bit more time with the car, he's figuring out where he can brake and where he can't. And yeah, hopefully he keeps on going up.
Yeah, McLaren have always been strong in Austria.
Yeah.
So we'll see at Silverstone.
Like, obviously he's come from a team like Renault, which let's be honest, didn't have a very good car last year. The Renault looks like a very hard car to drive, and then obviously coming into McLaren, it'll be completely different because it'll be faster, there'll be more money put into it and all of that. So I feel like it's just learning where the differences are, and then putting the work in to make it work for yourself. It's working for him at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to see it, because I saw so much like hate on Daniel online, and it you know, I've never really been a fan of Red Bull, but he was one driver that they had that I wholeheartedly supported and wanted to see do well. So, you know, it wasn't necessarily upsetting, because obviously I don't know him personally, you know, it's not that deep, but you know, you never want to see someone being attacked online for things that aren't necessarily their fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Daniel talking in an interview about how hard it has been not being able to adjust to the car as quick as he wanted. So putting pressure on him on social media like that, I just think it's unfair sometimes. Because he's obviously not happy with his results. He's been doing better. We saw that in Austria.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good to see him do better, but still you can see he's not happy with the amount of progress he has made, because he obviously thought it was going to gel earlier.
Yeah. I think
I'm happy
also
to see him do well or better.
I think it's obviously going to be only like a really small thing, but I think he really misses his family and he misses his home, and because he is such a family guy. I'm not sure if it was Sky who got that clip from his nephew and niece, and it looked like he was about to cry, and I was like,
obviously, it must be so hard, like, because it's not like you can just quickly fly back to Australia, because most of them live like in Europe.
Also, Australia have really, really strict travel.
Exactly.
Like their country is closed. Nobody comes in and out. So
even if it was an hour flight, he wouldn't be able to do it.
Even if you are Australian, you can't go back in. Even then you'd have to quarantined for like 2 weeks, like
Yeah,
especially in the races.
because where my brother lives, there's like 120 cases and they've locked the whole country down, whereas here there's like 25,000 and we're all opening up next week or something.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
think
like,
in Australia though, like they're so well governed, like things like that. They were so quick to like do things, which has like sorted it for them. But with us, we leave it till about a month later and then decide, oh no, look, it's getting a bit better.
oops, wasn't expecting that. I think what else happened?
Obviously, George P11 again.
Very,
That
very
was
good.
wasn't what Fernando said. Out of everyone he wanted to be fighting against, he didn't want it to be Lewis.
George.
George.
I thought that was so sweet when he said that.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, you know, he could have just accidentally gone wide, you know, like no one's gonna know.
I was hoping, a part of me was hoping that Alonso would just let him have it.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
One day.
Yeah.
Time will come.
I hope it's soon. I just hope it's so soon. I just want to see this man get a point so bad.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
I was talking
everyone
to
is feeling that.
Yeah, I was talking to my dad about it, and I think it was Mansell. He was a really unlucky driver until all of a sudden, like, he won his championship. But he'd been really unlucky up until then, and he was saying that, you know, George, he sees it happening, but he really doesn't want George to be that unlucky driver. Like we saw it with Nico Hülkenberg, who could never get a podium, and with George, it seems like he can never get a point. Yeah, I'm just like, I really want him to succeed. I think he deserves he deserves an amazing team and an amazing car and every chance to succeed. And it's sort of, I don't think Paul di Resta helped by every 5 minutes going, and George is running a really great race. Like, curse of the commentator.
Don't. Commentators just need to be quiet.
Yeah, can we not talk about Max, please?
Max just flies on ahead.
Yeah, I know. Max was on another level.
Quite boring for him, just having nothing.
Well, last time he got bored, he started talking about hydration and washing hands on the radio.
Yeah, don't forget
Did you stand up for the
Yeah. I feel like that I need to get that as like a ringtone for an alarm to remind myself to hydrate enough during the summer. Drink your water.
Yeah. I think also though, like there was a statement made by Kimi after the race saying that he knows Alfa Romeo have the better race car to Williams, but it's George that makes the difference.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think when it's coming from a world champion, Mercedes will be looking at like that sort of statement, being like, oh, this is good. This is good.
Definitely. It's
like George Russell is better than the Alfa Romeo. Like,
especially when you've got Latifi down, like not anywhere, and then you've got George literally pushing that Williams to the best he can, and he's getting the good results. It just shows the quality of driver he is and everything.
Well, I mean, Coulthard and Webber on the Channel 4 commentary, they said, you know, if today is the day that Latifi has to prove his mettle, because it's not like he can say, oh, I'm a rookie at this track, because they were there last week. And like George was chucking that Williams up, and he narrowly missed Q3, and then he made it into Q3 over the 2 weekends. So I feel like Nicholas does need to step up slightly. Obviously he's driving to the best of his ability, but sometimes the best of your ability isn't good enough, you know. And he's a lovely guy, very sweet, and he is a talented driver, but you know, when you've got George there pulling rabbits out of hats, you know.
I mean, definitely George has a lot to do with it, but I do think the car has improved a bit. Do you think it has to do with the change of administration? Because there have been going on Williams. I think they changed administration a couple of months ago. I guess I think that might be something that it is contributing to it.
Yeah.
I think as well, like Mercedes is saying that George needs a teammate that can challenge him, but like you're not gonna get that, because Williams need money to run. That's the bottom line, and Nicholas Latifi helps with that, which is why he's probably Williams for this long. But like you can't really say that he needs a teammate to challenge him when he's fighting for P10 and he's battling with Haas for P20.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree with you there.
You can't say, like, Mercedes can't say that he needs a teammate to challenge him when he's already in a league of his own.
Yeah,
and everyone is so complimentary about his driving style. Like Karun, when he like took him through his lap, he was like, you're turning and there's no extra faffing that some other drivers are having. Like, he is getting the maximum out of the car and being as efficient as he possibly can. And I cannot wait to see what he can do in the long run in a Mercedes that has a seat that fits him and that he knows what all the buttons and everything does.
Yeah. It's gonna be world class. I really am excited to see George.
Yeah, because if you think about like Alex was saying, like how much work he put in when he was in Sakir, and he literally had like not long to prepare for that. But if you think about when he has so much time to prepare for that and he's had practice, like how insane he's gonna be.
Yeah,
and he's in a seat that fits him. Like, that will make so
and his
much
boots
difference.
fit.
Yeah, and he's in a suit that's actually made for him. Like all of these little differences will make.
Roscoe doesn't bite his tires.
Actually, talking of seats, did you see all the stuff about Mick Schumacher's seat?
Yeah.
I know Carla has.
Yeah.
I have as well.
I think he has been driving the car with a seat that's crooked or not properly positioned or something.
Yeah.
And he wanted to change it and talk to Sebastian about it.
Seb said to break it.
Yeah, and he was like, just break it and they'll get you another one.
He just one way of doing it.
Yeah, the angel that he didn't.
I think my favourite part of it was that Mick didn't tell Gunther, but Mick told Seb, and Seb then told his mum, and then Corinna went to Gunther and was like, why has my son been driving with a seat that doesn't properly fit him? And Gunther was like, huh?
What?
Wait,
Mick's
also
not one to complain.
Yeah. It's the fact that Seb went and tattled to his mum.
I love their friendship though. Like, he's the kind of motorsport father that Mick hasn't really had.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I really like, because he can trust Inspector Seb to look at his car.
Yeah, and there's been Inspector Mick on that as well.
Yeah, Inspector Mick rocking up to, was it Lando or Daniel? Oh, but he was staring at him.
Having the nose round.
Yeah.
Get the chance.
Wait, didn't Mick almost make didn't he make Q3 last on the Styrian Grand Prix, or was it the race before that?
Was it Q2? It
Q2?
was the French Grand Prix, and he made Q2.
Oh,
crashed out, so he couldn't.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was last race. Confused, but yeah, love that. Really unlucky, but yeah.
Also, on the topic of Haas, did we all see Nikita's gift in response to Gunther's gift?
Yeah. It was amazing.
Don't fox smash my door.
He does not fox smash my door. Tell him that.
I love the fact that Gunther was so like snappy and witty, and he was like, "Oh, so your followers are what's his name, Kevin Magnussen then?" And I actually quite like the banter between the two of them. Like, I think
people have started like the hate on Nikita Mazepin from that has decreased so much. Like, I've been looking through like Nikita's comments, and like before there was so many like just nasty comments. Now there's like, how I say it, people like calling him the go, the legends. I'm like,
Yeah,
How the tables turn.
it's also
got
good PR.
more of a personality now, because I mean, before
yeah, people have seen the other
really
side of
only-
him.
people really only knew Nikita for the news that they were seeing about him,
And the
Because I feel
media.
like a lot of F1 fans don't watch F2.
Mhm.
So they just get told, oh, this is the son of Michael Schumacher, this is an amazing talent that Red Bull have brought up, and here's a guy who's been problematic, like.
Yeah.
And I feel like so it's been a chance for Nikita to show a bit of his personality, and he's annoyingly funny. Like he's one of those people that
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like he's just a dumb kid that's made a very, very dumb mistake.
And on today's episode of Who is Zoom having a go at this time? Okay.
So yeah, but like as I was
Carry
saying,
on.
with the whole Nikita Mazepin thing, like I said, I think he's just a dumb kid who's just made a dumb mistake, and I feel like that shouldn't really speak on the rest of his career because he's still learning and he's made the effort with the rest of the grid. Like you can't fault him for that, and clearly he's got a good thing going on with Gunter. So
main priorities.
Are you friends with Gunther Steiner?
Yeah.
When you look at his F2 career though, like he has been racing, like he's been up there. Obviously not as much as the rest of like Callum Ilott and stuff, and like I know we all want to see him in the sport because he's British and all that. But I feel like Nikita's got his chance and he's gonna make the most of it. So
It'll be interesting to see. How long's Nikita's contract?
Indefinite, because I'm pretty sure his father is buying the team. Because there's been talk of Gene Haas has been attempting. Well, he wants to stay in the sport because he loves the sport, but he doesn't want to throw money at it if there's not, going to be that development. So there is a lot of chance that we could be seeing Team Mazepin rather than Team Haas, or he be something. Because I think that's like the titular sponsor that we see. So yeah, who knows? But yeah, no, I think Nikita should get some credit for his driving because he was competitive. Otherwise he wouldn't be in Formula One. And
if they've made it to F1, then they're obviously doing something right.
Yeah, like I mean, I'd love to see. I genuinely would love to see us all in an F1 car, but
that would
I get
be
the
good.
feeling that would be very good fun. But I get the feeling that we wouldn't be anywhere near as competitive as Nikita Mazepin is, because
I mean, props to him for making it that far. I have a PR brain, so most of the time I'm questioning it. I'm questioning what is being uploaded. Like obviously these yokes between Gunther and him play a good part in making fans like him more, which is good. Like he's funny. Like I like the guy for being funny, but his recklessness on track has also been bothering me. And
he's.
I mean, obviously he has to learn from that. I think he has been a bit better, but those first races were just dangerous.
Definitely. No, definitely. And I remember, it was F2 or something. There was a whole Nikita. Didn't he he did something to Callum Ilott?
He punched him.
I remember what it was. I think it punched him. Yeah, and it's just like stuff like that. Hopefully he's learned. Anyway,
but I mean, at the same time, that's the kind of stuff that Max Verstappen did very early on in his career. Like he went up to Ocon and he shoved him, and he's now good. So I think
exactly once
because
you get
Max, I think because Max is so young and he's been in F1 for so long, people forget that he has been on this massive growth and he is now a very mature driver. But it's like even Charles Leclerc, who is this amazing talent that everyone keeps on heralding. Even he drove recklessly in the Styrian Grand Prix. So I feel like, people I think everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I do think that sometimes, we need to take a chill pill. But I'm saying that with what Carla said about from the PR side of things, like I've spoken to some people that work in the Haas mechanics team, and both Mick and Nikita are spoken very highly of. they say that, you know, they're really great guys to get on with, and, you know,
That's good.
they're funny and they have like a good personality and they work well within the team. So
Yeah.
I do think there's probably been some sort of getting caught up in the moment, and obviously people are very different on track when the visor comes down and the helmet's on than off track.
Game on.
Yeah, the fighter pilot instincts kick in, but no, I think we've just been seeing slightly more of their personalities, and obviously things are edited and cut to appear a certain way, but I do think none of that was really scripted. I think that was, you know, just them being them.
Yeah, I do also think that when it comes to Nikita Mazepin making mistakes on track, people are so quick to make comments, but when it's the older guys who should know better doing the same mistakes, not even spoken of, I feel like people just judge so quickly. This guy's been in the F1 for 5 minutes, and the difference between F2 and F1 is just so different. Like, you're gonna make mistakes wherever you go, but like you've got to give the same energy with the older and the newer.
But also you've got to treat the newer drivers the same, because Yuki has caused so many red flags and caused so much damage and made so many mistakes, and he's
not really spoken of.
No, it's starting to be spoken of more because it has become such a recurring pattern. But like, and you're gonna hate me for this, Carla, but Mick in Monaco was horrendous. Like, he was the one, everyone made so many jokes about Nikita ending up in the
sea.
In the water or in someone's apartment, you know, and then
pit wall underwater.
Nikita didn't, you know, put a foot out of place. He didn't end up in the barriers at all. It was Mick, and
impressive.
You know, Mick is
not in the race, just saying. No, but I totally get what you mean. Like,
obviously Mick has this, you know, this amazing legacy of Michael to follow up on, and you know, everyone sees him almost as their own child because Michael Schumacher was such a big influence on, or at least the older generations probably do. And, you know, and then obviously with Yuki, you know, he's this very small, cute, young guy.
Feisty.
He's very feisty on track.
Side of him, don't want to mess with.
Him and Dan Ticktum, I'd like to hear the two of those two. Those two
argument.
Radio
like the Red Bull video of where they're doing the challenges when they were in the plane. Yuki was calm.
Yuki was laughing at him.
Ned is the guy.
It was hilarious.
At the same time, you're all probably. I'm not, but you're all probably taller than him.
I think
yeah.
I think.
Wait, how small are you, Anna? Sorry, off topic, but how tall are you?
Well, Yuki's 5'2".
What is that? Wait, what is that in centimeters? Meters?
I'll Google it for you.
I'm like,
I don't
5'1".
speak
I'll say I'm 5'1". Don't measure myself in a while.
That's so cute, Abby. I could literally just like.
So
I'd be like,
5'2" is 157.48 centimeters.
Oh, okay.
And then 5'1" is 155. So
wow.
I take great pride in being taller than Lando. That's like my thing.
Yeah, before Lando had his growth spurt, I was like, I see.
Yeah.
I can see.
Yeah.
Yuki, I thought because he was so small, he'd be like zooming around, but he's just flying off. But you know,
he's
so out though. I wonder how long they'll keep him, or if they will.
See over the steering wheel a bit better and see where he's going.
But yeah, to be completely honest with you, like Nikita and Mick are so different because Mick has a role model to follow. He has the advice of Sebastian Vettel. He's friends with everyone on the grid. Like, everyone likes him because he's the legacy of Michael Schumacher. Like, everyone's gonna want to like help him as much as possible, but Nikita doesn't have that, and I don't think
he doesn't really have anyone, does he?
I think all he has is Gunther.
Who's your support system? This angry man.
Yeah. I do feel sorry for Nikita in some ways because he's at a disadvantage compared to Yuki Tsunoda and Mick Schumacher, because Yuki's in the Red Bull system, Mick has Sebastian, and he's got Ferrari as well.
Yeah.
And Nikita will never have that.
No.
Nikita's just got the money.
Same with Latifi, to be fair. Like,
I
do feel bad for Latifi as well, because he'll never have a role model. George has, like, George has like Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas to look up to, and he's obviously worked with them, so like they're kind of in like a working system, and obviously he has Toto as his manager, like a 7-time world champion. So you've got to like think about the disadvantages that some of the drivers are at.
Yeah, no, you make a very good point. The support system can make or break a driver.
Yeah, and we've seen that with Latifi in the years he's been at Williams. Like, he's not been that good, and he hasn't been able to match George, because George has got such a big advantage with the backing of Mercedes compared to Nicholas, who kind of doesn't really have anyone.
Yeah, which is why I think that, obviously, talking about support systems, going back to my earlier point about Daniel, you know, he is a family guy, and obviously he's now missing all of them. And though they're not, you know, your like race team that he'll have had put together to help him, you know, support from your family can mean a lot.
No,
100%. I think it's so nice that Sebastian has filled that sort of uncle/father role for Mick.
Uncle Seb,
Seb and his grid kids.
Yeah.
Seb's kind of like a father to everyone, really.
Yes.
He's just you can't not like him.
No, and then he was
so nice.
He made the B hotel that looked like a
the racing car.
I was like,
that he's just that kind of person, and I love it. Like,
I'll be so sad when you leave that one. I'll be so sad when you retire. Like, it'll be such a big
when
hole.
Lewis and Sebastian retire, I think I'm gonna cry. No, I don't think. I know I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
I feel like
you're not gonna see me in like a month.
You need like
Kimmy will still be racing, but you know.
Oh, Kimmy's going to live. I can just
Kimmy
imagine
will still be
Kimmy
racing,
like
obviously,
grey
because-
hair
Kimmy will be racing at 60 at this
with
rate.
a Zimmer frame.
Well, he's got shares in Sauber, so he can have
race as
one,
long as he wants.
and then Robin, his son, can have the other seat.
You're just holding that space for him.
Yeah.
Oh, the new team, it won't be Alfa Romeo anymore, it'll be Kimmy's Ice Cubes.
I love that he calls them the ice cubes.
Yeah.
I love
Little
Kimmy's.
ice cubes.
And did you see Susie with is his name? What's Susie's son called? Yeah. Just so cute.
Yeah, and he was like on his little scooter.
He looks so like Susie. It's like he's got Susie's face. It's like
Susie's face,
There's got,
Toto's
like,
hair.
Toto's hair.
Yeah.
Toto's hair that's like sticking out in 5 different directions.
Did anyone see the video Red Bull put up of Checo's kids being a mechanic of the car? I was like,
oh my god, Chiquito is so cute.
He's so cute, and he's got like the massive eyes.
Yeah. All the kids were there in Austria.
Imagine if there was like an F1 driver's kids, like not like
well,
video.
they must take them somewhere. Like there must be some childcare in the paddock, because Christian Horner had some of his kids there.
Christian's kids. Jerry comes with Christian's kids.
Because there's Kelly Pickett, and she's always at Max's race, but then who's looking after Penelope?
Yeah.
It'll be
maybe
in the corner, like.
Yeah, because maybe actually stop using the garage as well. Sometimes.
I must have like nannies or something.
Imagine if we were like imagine if we had to look after their kids. That'd be so fun. It's like there's little racing drives around.
Let the indoctrination begin.
Yeah, Max is kind of a stepdad at 23.
That's a bit creepy, I won't lie.
It's a scary thought.
Stepdad. Imagine Max being your dad. Who else? Who doesn't have kids? Lando doesn't. Lando certainly doesn't have kids.
Lando doesn't have kids.
Does Valtteri have kids?
No.
He's got a girlfriend. He's not.
Yeah,
married.
Tiffany. So he was married to like a childhood sweetheart, and then they divorced, and he was almost immediately dating Tiffany Cromwell. So there was like some allegations of like, was he cheating or not? And which is why he's always cycling, because yes, it's good for your fitness, but she's a professional women's cyclist.
Yeah.
It's fine. Valtteri gives me such Kimi vibes. Like
they are from the same country, to be fair. Like
yeah, I'm getting the feeling that people are from Finland are the exact same as each other.
Have you seen that video where Lewis and Sebastian are ganging up on Valtteri, and they're like, is there a word for exciting in Finland? And he's like, yeah, I'm sure there is. And then they're like, okay, what is it then? And he's like,
I don't
know.
Yeah, we're getting an AlphaTauri shop in the UK now, which is exciting.
In Knightsbridge.
Did you miss this, Kate? Yeah, we're getting Knightsbridge in London, I do believe.
Yeah.
I think I might be broke.
I will say this. They've got some nice pieces, but I'd avoid any of the stuff that's made in the same material as like the suit jackets that you see, because it creases really easily. But they've got some really nice sort of like loungewear shorts and things like that. I was very tempted. I was like at 2 a.m. going, that would look nice with that.
Really? Wait, did we talk about the penalty points for the Austrian GP?
I think we mentioned the penalties that were given out, but obviously Lando is 2 points away from a race ban.
10, but then doesn't he lose 2 at Silverstone?
Yeah.
I can genuinely tell you what's what. Wait now.
I think there's 11 penalties. 11 penalties got issued at the weekend. I wrote them all down, and there's 2 fines as well. Because Ocon got a €400 fine, and Kimi got a €900 fine.
Which is, like, that's like 5 minutes of work for them. Yeah.
Right, so Lando,
I wish I could relate.
Lando, Charles, and someone else loses 2 points at Silverstone.
Yeah.
Lewis must be coming up to losing.
I think Lewis leads
down outside.
Well, I think he does.
I wanted to ask you guys if you think these regulations are working, because people are getting penalties and points in the license for mostly race incidents, I must say, like the Lando incident, the Checo incident. I mean, obviously it was like aggressive driving, but still like having penalty points.
Yeah, I think the time penalty was enough.
To be fair, Charles didn't get any penalties or points in the
which
license.
I'm mad about.
Out. So I think the FIA should look into it a little bit and change it a little bit.
Yeah, they need to look at the scenarios and what should have happened. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
I'll say it again, the FIA, we are here to be your stewards, should you need us to be. This is my weekly petition to the FIA to hire me.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Regarding the penalty points,
go on, Kate.
Lewis will have 4 points off at Silverstone, 4 points off his penalty points. Lando will have 2, and Charles will have 1 less. That's just.
Yeah, I figured Lewis must be coming up to losing them sometime soon. Speaking of Lewis, we've not spoken about it. His contract extension.
Yeah.
2 more years.
Not surprising for that. But it came early. I thought it was going to come a little bit later.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, they were
Did
talking
say that he
about getting
wanted-
it done sooner rather than later, so that they didn't have a repeat of last year. But obviously,
Yeah,
I
it
think
makes sense.
Lewis has a lot of faith in next year's car and the development that's coming underway, because he has just he has signed for 2 years rather than just the one, which is what he did last time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that says something about where Mercedes are potentially going to be next year.
Yeah.
And also it means that we get more Suis content, which I will always be thankful for.
Yeah, because they said
Yeah.
that, like, does that mean they're renewing Seb's contract as well?
Seb to Aston Martin well. You right, Anna?
Yeah, there are loads of cows running outside.
Cows?
Joys of living in
Yeah.
the countryside.
Look at them all. You can't even see them. They're over there. Lots of cows. Wait, that's my camera.
But, I feel like, obviously, with all the regulation changes that are coming in next year, I feel like that strongly dictates how Mercedes are thinking at the moment, because if they've signed Lewis for another 2 years, that means they need someone experienced in the car to make the car work the way they need it to fit with the new regulations. And having an experienced driver just makes it so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I know Mercedes have said that, you know, nothing's for certain, everything's up in the air. They haven't decided on who's going to be the second driver. And I feel like this is where we get Mel to include all the clips of George being asked questions about his seat for next season and just
Yeah,
laughing.
he's like,
and
we'll
walking
leave
off.
it at that. Before, when Williams made a mistake, they were like, he was really like upset about it. But now the mistakes, he's like, oh, we move on, you know? So I'm like, does that mean that he's not really as bothered because he's got a contract with Mercedes happening or something? But that's probably just me overthinking.
Well, no, I saw a similar thing, and someone was saying that the reason why Valtteri's been performing so much better is because not only has he, you know, found out that information and, you know, it's been decided this is what's going to happen and the team have told him, so he's pushing himself to drive better, but he's also potentially getting offers from different teams, because
That's true.
George shut them down at, I think it was Channel 4's interview. He said, you know, next year I'm going to have a Mercedes behind me, like talking about the engine. He did have to specify the engine because they were like Mercedes, and he was like the engine, which obviously he already has. But they were saying, are you not thinking about like other teams? And he said, no, I'm going to have a Mercedes engine. And that is at the moment Williams, McLaren, who have their driver lineup confirmed, or Mercedes.
Yeah.
So, but I do think Williams are actually the team to go to. Like, if I was Pierre Gasly and Red Bull didn't offer him a contract, I'd consider Williams, because they have been improving year on year. They've been getting better and better, and I think it's only a matter of time before they're suddenly competing again. And I'm so excited for the resurgence of Williams.
It's coming, like, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's coming home.
But then people have been saying, like, how long will F1 be going on for? Because, like, obviously the fuel they use, and they're like, when are they just going to turn it straight to Formula E, where it's all like electric? Because obviously, like, the environment and stuff, like, unless they think of something, then it's like, how long will F1?
There's a lot of money in sport, and I feel like with the amount of money that comes in with F1,
and it brings in so
viable.
Much. That's how.
Because at the end of the day, if you get rid of F1, you'll be getting rid of F2, F3, F4, all of the other championships. Like, who use the central, like, you'll just be ruining motorsport.
Definitely.
Well, some people watch Formula One for the noise as well, which like obviously and stuff. So they won't have that anymore. So
which was why a lot of people complained when they went back down to the V6s rather than the V8s, because the noise was different and they didn't like that. But also, I mean, sponsorship and Formula E has been growing bigger and bigger, and I think potentially years and years into the future we may be looking at having just electric cars. But I think until the capabilities, because Formula E's speed is nowhere near Formula One. So until the speed is up, I don't think we'll be moving across to fully electric. But that obviously is dependent upon technology developing. But I do think if they can get to a point where they are carbon neutral, be it because they're offsetting it by planting an excessive amount of trees, or all of the logistics bans for Europe have like solar panels on the roofs so that they're, you know, gathering energy as they're driving along. If they did stuff like that to even offset it slightly, I think it would be more, people would be more accepting of F1 continuing, especially the way that they are. And
they have been trying stuff like that. I know they're like in the paddock plastic free, something about that. I think actually Vettel helped contributed to that. So I think well, obviously in Europe there's also this rule that in the next 10 years all road cars have to be electric, and that is global warming and
yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. F1 is obviously known for the sound of the car, and the hybrid era has also helped, definitely. But
I think with regards to the sound, like when COVID restrictions were super high and you weren't allowed any fans in the stadium, I will say one thing that football and rugby managed really well is live. They took recorded sounds and it would sound like people responding live, and it was really well done.
And it was like empty stadiums, but you could it felt like and
you could, and the sound would travel, so like one end would suddenly erupt when the ball started heading back. Like it was really well done.
I thought that was really good.
And I will say, like, my one criticism for like Formula E and Extreme E is the noise of the cars. They're like
it's like
and
it's super.
It's really like
there's
whiny noise.
Like after F1, Extreme E and Formula E are like my two favorite. Like for me, the sound, obviously it's the classic, it's legendary, but it's like it's still racing.
And my brother, his friend or something, is part of this thing, and it's where they're trying to bring younger drivers to start driving the really old Formula One cars and stuff, because if the younger drivers don't start like racing in them, like even if it's another sport or something, then they're just going to die out. So like they're trying to like get drivers that want to be a part of this new thing where they're starting to drive the older cars before they die out.
I'll drive one of the cars. We'll put a link to it in the bio or something. Like,
if you want to go race this car. No, but I was thinking that's true, because these old cars are going to die out if no one starts racing them again.
Yeah, it's like Spitfire engines have to be turned over multiple times a year, otherwise the Merlin engine just stops running, and that Merlin makes such a beautiful noise. But yeah, my original point before I went off on one was they could always just put the noise of the V8s over the top, and or they could play it through some sort of sound system, or even if they just dubbed it for like the TVs. But I feel like if Formula E are happy to put cameras in people's helmets, surely they can do like a sound system for the cars.
That would be so good. Just like cars like speakers on them going because like with electric cars on the road, they're thinking about they need to add a sound to it because they're so dangerous, because you can't hear them. So like if you're crossing the road, then you can't hear the car coming. So I think they're adding sounds to electric cars, so then maybe they do it to Formula E cars.
Imagine if you could choose the sound that your car made. Like you could have one of those like really like revvy cars, or imagine just like driving up in your like Renault Twizy or whatever it is that really small electric car is. But it sounds.
I want my car to have that, Ricardo.
The road would be so exciting.
Yeah, you'd be hearing an F1 car thinking, "Oh my god, what?" And then this little like Twizy pulls up. that would be quite funny. I've nearly been run over by multiple electric cars because I've just not heard them coming. So
so quiet.
Yeah, it's like in London, you don't have to pay a congestion charge if you have an electric car, So all the taxis are now like Toyota Aurises, I think they are. And like when you're leaving like the Barbican Theatre and everyone's got a taxi and you're just walking to the tube station, it's like dodging electric cars that don't make a sound, which is hectic.
Yeah.
And difficult.
So I think they're trying to add sound to them, which they should do to Effie.
Talking of sounds and adding them, I want F1 drivers to be able to talk to each other over the radio.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
That'd be
like
pretty cool.
Seb and Mick just having like a little conversation, like Seb telling Mick what to do.
Mick. Move out the way so I can help you.
Yeah, do you mind
Or
just
just-
slowing down a sec?
Everyone being verbally abused by Kimmy and Yuki.
Yeah.
Imagine the things that would get said.
Yeah. Well, I think it would help. They'd be able to, you know, get out all of their anger in the moment, and it adds a whole other level to it.
Yeah.
But then I guess the right team radio, team engineers and that need to.
I feel like you should be able to go on like a team radio, like to your garage, and then public radio
Yeah.
to everyone else. So you can be like, what the F was that move you just did? No, come say that to my face or something like that.
What do you think about the driver of the day coming like on an interview at the end of the race? That's
I
right.
like it. I feel
Who
like
gave you my number?
I feel like it's kind of like ruining drive of the day a bit, because so many people are taking that as an advantage to vote like Kimi Räikkönen as driver of the day because they want to hear what radio message he's going to come out with.
Yeah,
Same
and
with
it's like
same with voting Nikita Mazepin for it. Like
the drivers are trying to like make the most of like their final lap. Like if they've like Lando, when he came third, he was trying to like wave to the fans and stuff, but then he's got someone talking in his ear, and he's probably like, right now I don't want to talk to you. I've got all my media and press after the race, so talk to me then.
Yeah.
Not while I'm taking in the moment.
I have to say, when it first started, I was like, ooh, that's a rip-off from Formula E, because the race winner comes on the radio immediately after they've crossed the line in Formula E. Like, and that is something they've done for quite a while now. And all of a sudden Formula One are like, that's a great idea. I'm just going to take that.
I think it's cool for the fans and for the show, obviously. I mean, I'm not an F1 driver, so I don't know how hectic it is at the end.
Yeah.
To go and do an interview and turn your PR brain on. But I mean, it's still cool to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
I think something that was quite funny to me, I think it was in Baku when Seb got driver of the day, and the woman came on the radio. And she was like, he was like, who gave you my number?
It's a bit weird. Who gave you my number?
Who gave you my number? It's Rosanna Tennant, isn't it? That does all the driver of the day.
Yeah.
Just like one of the
your driver of the day.
Yeah. Before the meeting ends, just one point I'd like to make. When we did the interview with Alex, which is coming out on the 9th, so this will probably be out after that. Alex said that they don't pay attention to the media, so when we run about like the pressures of like what job position George's gonna be in next year, they don't have a clue what's going on like outside of like the racing world. Like they don't do anything with the media. Like they choose not to look at it because that could pressure George into making mistakes, because there's so much pressure on people
and him to overthink
fans, which I think is good for George, just ignoring things like that, because it's making him a better driver for it.
And it's very easy to tell the difference between drivers that have their Instagram run by someone such as Lando and George and drivers that are fully like in control of their own Instagram, such as Lewis. So, you know, I feel like
as well.
a lot of people are like, a lot of drivers are now starting to step back from running their own social media, because I mean, at the end of the day, the social media account is more for the fans than for them. It makes sense to have someone take all the pressure off and manage it all, and that way also the drivers, as you said, aren't getting distracted, and they can spend all their time focusing on on the racing and what they're actually being paid to do.
And they don't have all those, like, if they get hate messages and all that. So I know, like, Lando, for example, does get like hate. He gets quite a bit of hate online about just everything. And I think also some of the Lando fan base has triggered that as well. So that's probably another reason why he's like sort of not on his socials as well.
Yeah, I think Mazepin will take that step as well, to have someone run his social medias, because of the amount of hate he has got. Obviously, you have to make his account private, which you shouldn't have to do.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But,
No,
yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
I think something that people need to remember is that the drivers are human. They're not going to be perfect at the end of the day, and you know, we shouldn't expect them to be perfect.
We all make mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, we should probably hold them to a higher, you know, level, because they are such public figures, but we shouldn't expect perfection from them.
Definitely.
Is something that I'd like to say. Oh, and if you haven't watched our podcast with George Russell's trainer Alex, then you should definitely go and give it a watch, just because I've noticed we've got less than 1 minute, and if they've not watched it, they definitely should.
And thanks to everyone who has been tagging us on their stories about Alex's podcast too.
Thank you.
Very good.
Love it. Thanks.
Bring the action.